What up, y'all?
Greetings. Welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Death, Taxes, and Sports Podcast. My name is Jeff Long. We are here to bring you episode 117 of DTS. We are here with my esteemed colleagues, Ben Holloway, Gary Johnson, who's doing audio, and we have a legend here himself, it's Nick Botkins, host of
What's up, y'all?
How you doing?
What's good? Excited to be here on this Death, Taxes, and Sports, man. It sounds like my life, 36 years of walking earth.
Cheers to that. Hey, cheers to that.
We're happy to have you, my man.
Hey, appreciate it.
No doubt. First off, Packers fan?
Through and through, brother. Through and through, yeah.
Listen,
got the Reggie White jersey hanging up. That's the very first jersey I ever owned. My mom got it for me when I was like 8 years old, and just still have it. So
that's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
No, it's good stuff. You guys had a heck of a game against the 49ers. Took it to them, took it down to the wire. But I just got to ask, is Jordan Love the guy?
I mean, how do you watch and not think he's not? Now, I will say this about Jordan Love. Like, the beginning of the year was a struggle, and like I had a lot of questions myself, like the first 8 games of the season. And I said, I don't know, when I was doing my show and people were asking me, like, what's going on? What do you think? I said, I don't really know if it's Jordan Love. I didn't know if it was play calling because it seemed like they weren't opening up the playbook. Like everything was just like dink and dunk, 5 yards and in. Like
too much, like, protecting them too much.
Yeah, right. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's play calling. I don't know if it's Jordan Love. They don't trust the kid to throw the ball down the field. I don't know. Then it's maybe Jordan Love's not the guy. That's Goody's fault because he, you know what I mean? Or maybe it's play calling. Then it's Matt LaFleur. You're looking at Matt LaFleur. It's his fault. Or maybe the receivers aren't open. Well, then that's Goody for not drafting wide receivers. And then you come to find out it was play calling. Matt LaFleur even said, like, we were protecting him. I've got to be more aggressive in my play calling and let this guy sling it. And after they did that, which was about after the bye week, the kid proved, and these wide receivers proved, hey, we're game. Do I think he's like Hall of Fame? We don't know that. You don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know. But do I think he could be he's our quarterback for the next, 3 years? 1,001%. I'm ready to ride, sign that on the dotted line. Maybe 5 years. Is he, I don't want to anoint this kid as like Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, or anybody like that. Because he's already got enough pressure, right? He's already fallen into those footsteps. And so that's already hard for him. But the kid impressed me. He did a lot of things well, especially the second half of the season. The 49ers game, it was what it was. But to me, I said this going into that game, it like whatever happens. Like, once we beat the Bears and made the playoffs, the season was a success to me. So
y'all exceeded expectations for sure.
Going into Dallas, I said that going into to play your Cowboys, Ben. Hey, whatever happens today happens. Like, I'm okay with the season. Like, it was a successful season.
I think McCarthy thought he was the coach of the Packers again.
Yeah. I think they took us lightly.
Yeah. No, they took a nap and they were already counting on that second home playoff game.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get the second one if you don't win the first one.
And they woke up and they was down 28-0, and or whatever the score was. And going into the 49ers game, they've been our kryptonite for the better part of 2 decades. We haven't beat them in the playoffs since like 2002.
Right.
So it's been a long time. They just owned us for whatever reason, no matter where or who. And we were right there. I knew as soon as Anders missed that field goal, and I probably can. I don't know if you guys curse on here. Do you guys curse? Is it cursing okay?
We're not tripping. Just don't go on a whole tirade. But if you drop an F on here and there, it's not the end of the world.
All right. Well, I am that kind of guy. But I was just like, fucking Anders, right? Just I probably said that 500 times this season. Yeah. And then they drove down.
Kicker was all over the place.
Yeah, he's awful.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy though. Like, 2 teams that are really going to be really interesting to watch is your team and the Rams.
Yeah.
Like two teams that exceeded expectations by far. Two of the youngest teams in the NFL easily. We talked about the Rams. I really thought the Rams were going to be the worst team in the NFL.
I've gotten in debates about this. I said, to me, this was, speaking of the Rams, I said this was Sean McVay's best coaching job. I know everybody's like, well, he won a Super Bowl. Yeah, but they were expected to win that Super Bowl. They went all in. So, like, when you exceed expectations, like the Rams were, I was right there with you, SK, is like, I had them as, bottom of the division, possibly, maybe Arizona was going to be worse, but, bottom, they were going to draft top 10, right? Like, you just.
No doubt. So,
they exceeded expectations.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's keep this thing rolling here. We got a lot to discuss, but obviously you're a fan of the Packers. Wanted to show your team some love. I mean, it's going to be really, really, really exciting. All I'm going to say with him, though, is he's got to continue to get better. He's got to continue.
Of course.
Can't rest those laurels. He's got to up his game. But speaking
of which, has he not already done that, though, right? From what we've seen, like 2 years ago, you remember the Kansas City game?
That Chiefs game? Oh, man. Yeah.
He was god-awful. Stunk up the joint.
Leaps and bounds from there. But, Jeff, let's lead to Josh Allen. Have at it, kid.
Yeah, let's get this. So Josh Allen, this one is, should he get blame? And in the context of being the leader, Ben, and him being the guy, there does seem to be a lot of blame. And before I toss it to you, what it really comes down for me is this. There are I tweeted this the other day, there are some players that have that special sauce, and there's some that just don't. He just doesn't have that special sauce that you need to get over the hump. 0-3 against Pat Mahomes. And I tell you another thing, they hype him up so much because he almost beat Pat Mahomes 2 seasons ago in the playoffs. Yep. But he still lost, and we still hype him up as if he is like this upper echelon, top tier quarterback. Gentlemen, it's Pat Mahomes as the elite of the elite, and then there's everybody else. Pat Mahomes, everybody else. That's simple. But toss it to you, Ben. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so he's good, right? But it seems like he can beat Mahomes in the regular season, which is strange. But then he's 0-3 in the postseason against him, and then I think he's only lost to Burrow and Mahomes. Actually, there's one more loss, but he's mostly lost to Burrow and Mahomes in the playoffs, who obviously those are great quarterbacks. But for me, it comes down to, we always talk about it, moments, right? Biggest moments. And I'm going to go back to that Eagles game a while back. They should have won, that he missed the throw to Gabe Davis. Because it's like, that was the same play to Shakir. It was almost the exact same thing. Like the Gabe Davis one was in overtime, you would have won the game. This one, would Mahomes have gotten the ball back? Absolutely. And sure, Chris Jones was in your face. I get it. But if you are that guy, you make that play, you complete that pass, and you hope that your defense keeps it. But to me, that was a big miss, and it's like you played basically, for the most part, like flawless up until that point. And it's like the one throw that you absolutely needed to make, you didn't make. And everyone can say, oh, well, they were so conservative, like he had 16 passes behind the line of scrimmage or whatever. It's like, yeah, but it worked. He followed the game plan, and the game plan was working. Like, they were scoring points. They were moving down the field. But when it came down to the most important throw of the game, and I'm not saying it was easy, but you make that throw. It wasn't impossible. Chris Jones was right there, but you make that throw. He didn't miss it by much. Thanks. So clearly he got the ball there. It's not like he couldn't throw it that far. He got it there. So to me, it's like, how much blame? I don't know, but it's like, dude, if you are that guy, you make that throw.
Yeah, and Gary, I know that you have some comical humor to this, so please give us a funny one-liner to say how you really feel.
I mean, I'm more than just one line. Let's be clear about this. But South Canada, it is always wide right in South Canada. Always. Like
you look up wide right in the definition, it says Buffalo. You know, that's what the definition of wide right is.
I've stopped calling them Buffalo. That's South Canada. So they're the South Canada Bills. this is
exactly.
we've
Tailgate,
talked
yeah.
like we've talked about this ad nauseum over the last 118 episodes, especially talking about when we talk football, we talk Josh Allen. At what point? I've said it before. If not now, when?
Mm-hmm.
We keep giving him opportunity. He has the weapons, and they look like they're the team that can actually. Like, you get home field advantage. You had Pat Mahomes on the road in the playoffs for the very first time. Like, and let's be honest. Like, as good as Kansas City is, they were vulnerable this season. There's far more cracks in their armor than in years past, and you couldn't do it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Josh Allen might be the greatest regular season quarterback ever, which is the most backhanded compliment you can give somebody at this point.
Yeah, and Nick, Nick, it's like with Josh Allen, it's just I don't know, man. It's like he has all the physical tools, but Kansas City's going to get better next year. Like if they win the Super Bowl, they're going to realize like, yo, like we got to get better. They got him this time. This was the season to dethrone Kansas City. I think they're going to. I don't know. We'll see. But Nick, let's get you in here.
Yeah. So I will say you're right. There is Pat Mahomes and then there's everybody else. That part you're correct on. The part that I disagree on is the Josh Allen take. So the 13, it's a team game. 13 seconds. Josh Allen did his part. He left 13 seconds on the clock in that game a couple years ago. That's a game that he won, that they won. It's not his fault. His defense was trashed and his coach was calling the plays. McDermott was calling the plays. Okay, that's on him. This past Sunday, the Diggs throw. That's not Josh Allen threw. Not very many quarterbacks throw that ball that far in the winds like that and put it on a dime.
Nick, real quick. If he walked down the field and put it exactly where he wanted to do, that's exactly what he did on a 65-yard bomb.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like he threw a dime. Not many guys. There's only 3-4 guys on the planet can throw that ball that deep, that far, that accurate in those conditions. And he's one of them. Diggs didn't come down with it. Is that Josh Allen's fault? Nope. It's a team game. I'm not saying he doesn't make mistakes because he does. I think a lot of it, I blame a lot of the coaching. Sean McDermott is not an offensive coach. I think he tries to focus on the defense, which he needs to go then in that case because the defense has not been great. They stopped moving the ball. They scored one time in the second half. They scored in the third quarter, couldn't score after that. Some of that is on Josh. Some of that's on the play con. They quit running the ball with Cook. They started trying to fling it all over the place. The dumb going for it on fourth down play was atrocious.
Oh my God!
Just punt the ball.
And they got. When we talk about coaches, they got bailed out by Andy Reid outsmarting himself.
Yeah.
What do you need? Why do you got to give it to Hardman? Pacheco's doing it.
Pacheco was running down their throat. Yeah, they should. Yes. So they got bailed out by that, or this game would have never. The game would have been over at that point in time.
Oh yeah, at that point, 34-24.
It was over. They got bailed out by the fumble, right? So that game. I'm not going to solely base it off of Josh. I feel like they try to say, hey, we got a guy. It don't even feel like sometimes they run offensive plays. It's just like, Josh, go out here and make a play for us. Please run it, throw it. We don't care. Just try to keep us and do whatever you can. I think he needs an offensive head coach to rein his skills in and actually use them. Now, this Bills team, the window is closed because their cap is atrocious. They're going to have 25 free agents. This window is closed. They're going to have to – their window as far as is going to be good because he's good, and it's always going to be open for somewhat. But this Bills team is done. It's going to take a couple of years, I think, to get back to even the divisional round or AFC championship game because they're going to have to retool and rebuild this thing. I don't want to put the blame on Josh Allen. I think he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Who are you going to get that's better than Josh Allen? If you're
Nick, and here's the thing, and just real quick, like with Josh Allen, we have to get this to the next segment here. But here's what I'm going to say about Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a top 7 perennial all-pro type quarterback that has immense talent, that has a lead upside, and has one of the best deep balls in NFL history. But there's been a span of 18 games where he there was a span of, think of 18 or 19 games. Out of those 18 or 19 games, he only had 4 games where he didn't turn the ball over.
I
Okay?
get he is
Like,
a turnover machine. He's
he just
gunslinger.
turns the hold on. He just turns the ball over too much and costs his team time and time again.
I agree with that. I agree with what you're saying.
That's
there.
all. And Gary, let's get you in, and then we got to move on.
No, I was just going to just to add to your point. 45 turnovers in 38 games.
Yeah, that can't happen. I agree. He does turn it over too much.
That math is awful. Like,
yeah, I agree hey, Brett Favre made a Hall of Fame career doing the same thing, right? So,
hold on. I'm so glad you mentioned his name because I've always jokingly said that Josh Allen is just Brett Favre's son. But this is literally, we're watching, like, everything that you said, everything that we've said about Josh Allen was said about Brett Favre in the previous generation.
Yeah.
He needed Mike Holmgren to rein him in and get him kind of on the right path. Josh Allen needs a Mike Holmgren.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Gary. He needs somebody an offensive-minded coach to rein him in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So Gary, we talk about like biggest disappointments. It would be the 49ers or the Ravens losing on Sunday. And for me, both these teams are going to face a little bit of pressure, but I think Lamar Jackson has a little bit of longevity because he's not even 30 yet. So I think he has a little bit more time, but nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. But I think for the 49ers, I think that it is very, very, very clear. The time is now. The time is right. If not now, when? They've been in the NFC Championship time and time again. They almost won the Super Bowl going into the fourth quarter several years ago. Couldn't get it done. Now Christian McCaffrey's been banged up. Deebo Samuel, who might not even play, or even if he does play, how effective he's going to be. Man, 49ers, a lot of pressure, buddy. A lot of pressure. But your thoughts, Gary?
No, you laid the table out for us on this one for sure. If you're the 49ers, you built that roster to have a shot at the Super Bowl. Not even to get there, but to win it. Baltimore is up and down iffy. Like, I know that they had the best record in the AFC and everything, but there's still something about them that's like they're like the most incomplete 14-3 team or 13, whatever their record was. Like, there's just something that's a little bit off. So I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this Sunday because, again, you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, a perennial all-time great. If you're San Francisco, first of all, there's really no shame if you lose to Detroit, but you would be losing to in a historic manner, and all this would do is open up the questions of, is Brock Purdy the guy to get you to the promised land and win you a championship? Is Mike is the coach Shanahan? Is he the guy to lead your team to a championship? All that loss is going to do is start opening the door to those questions. If you ask me who's under the most pressure this weekend, I'm going to still say Baltimore, only because if we're going to put Lamar Jackson in the category with Mahomes, if he's going to be the one to succeed Josh Allen as Pat Mahomes' main rival or arch rival going forward, he's got to beat him at least once in the playoffs.
Yeah, facts. And Ben, the one rebuttal I'll give you on that, Gary, is that Lamar Jackson has won several playoff games and had a decent deep run, and it's going to be capped by MVP. So when it comes to like the sting from a team perspective, yes, there's a little bit of pressure, but if we're talking about the Ravens, we're talking about Lamar Jackson. The coach Harbaugh already won the Super Bowl, so he doesn't have anything to prove. But for Lamar Jackson, it depends on how you look at it from perspective. But I got you. But Ben, your thoughts?
Yeah. So just to phrase it here, we're talking bigger disappointment if they lose on Sunday, 49ers or Ravens. And I posed the question on Twitter just to see, because Twitter polls are fun sometimes. And don't ever bet based upon a Twitter poll, by the way. Don't bet on a Twitter poll. Please don't. But so I posed the question, and actually, as of right now, I'll share my opinion, but I'm going to go with the right now vote on Twitter. 1,405 votes, which pretty cool. I didn't think we'd get that many. And right now, 62% say 49ers losing would be a bigger failure. 62 to 38 is the current poll. And I agree, the 49ers, because it's like that I feel like we've said for like 3 or 4 years that top to bottom, healthy, they have the best roster. Like offense and defense, like for 3 or 4 years, most people in August would say if their guys are healthy, which their top guys are very injury prone, so that's the big if. But if their dudes are healthy, there's not a better team. Like that's the conversation we've had in August for 3 or 4 years. It's like you got to cap it off. You got to get that ring. And it's like, to your point, they as great as John Lynch is and their personnel guys are at the cap and being creative, they're not going to be able to keep everyone. They can't keep everyone. So this team and you got to maximize obviously Purdy on his rookie contract. So they're not going to be able to keep this whole team together. For this whole team, this might be the last run. And lastly, I will say, yes, if you ask me, would you take the 49ers of the last 30 years or the Cowboys? I would take the 49ers because at least they've had a lot more playoff success. But their championship drought is actually 1 year longer. As far as winning the Super Bowl, the Niners last one, and I'm going by when the Super Bowl was played. January 95 was the Niners Super Bowl. January 96 was the Cowboys. So technically, you haven't really done more than us. Technically, you ain't get the champion.
Nice.
I mean, you're splitting it. I mean, you're pulling at straws there, Ben.
No. I know. That's why I said over the last 30 years, I would take the 49ers playoff success. But as far as winning, they haven't won.
Gary, what's up?
No. You don't get to do that, Ben. Just because it was a year prior to your team's last win, there's been far more promise in San Francisco.
I said that. I said that
Okay.
a minute ago. Yeah. I said that like twice.
All right. Because I heard it and I was like, whoa. Yes,
no, they've had significantly more success in the playoffs than Dallas. Significantly.
Okay.
But as far as winning the whole thing,
Gary ready to call somebody out.
Listen, I'm just keeping it.
Let's get Nick in on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, Nick, let's get you in this.
Yeah, Jeff, what did you say at the top? You said Patty Mahomes and everybody else, right? So if the Ravens go in and lose to the Chiefs, there's no shame and there's no disappointment in losing to the absolute guy who's probably going to end up being the GOAT if he doesn't get hurt, right? Like I think that's the consensus. And you're losing to Andy Reid, who's maybe the second greatest coach of all time outside of Bill Belichick, right? So if the Ravens lose on Sunday, are you surprised? Is anybody waking up and be like, oh my gosh, the Ravens, they lost to the Chiefs? How did this happen? Nobody's going to wake up and say that. But because, if the 49ers lose to the Lions, we are going to ask some questions like, how did this happen? How did the Lions go into San Francisco and beat what many people – the 49ers have been the absolute elite class of the NFC all year when fully healthy. Now, I know Debo's 50-50 to play or not, but they still got the likes of CMC. Brandon Ayuk's got to be licking his chops what Mike Evans did to that Lions defense. The expectations of the 49ers this year is Super Bowl or bust. And if they go to Detroit, who's been great and nice story, and even as a Packers fan, that's the team I'm going to be rooting for because I want to – as a Cub fan, I feel like every rotten franchise who's had to live through bad beats and things like that deserves to have that relief and victory like we got in 2016. So I'm kind of rooting for Detroit, but nonetheless, if they beat the 49ers, I would be shocked. If you ranked as like confidence pool as far as like, hey, this team's going to win, the 49ers have got to be the number one team in the force. So I would be, more disappointing. 1,000% is the 49ers. I don't think anybody would be shocked if the Ravens lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah, facts. And Ben, and I know you want to do 1 point, but here's the spread. The Ravens are a 3.5-point favorite, and the 49ers are a whole 7-point favorite against Detroit.
Exactly.
7 points. That is a pretty telling – when you're talking about it, that's a pretty high number. So that's but Ben, your thoughts.
So real quick on the Debo injury. To me, that's a little bit of like Kyle Shanahan, like without Debo, why are you lost? You have Ayuk, you have Kittle, you have McCaffrey. To me, it's a little bit of an indictment on Shanahan. You got freaking Ayuk, you got McCaffrey, and you got Kittle. Like, you still got studs on offense. So, like, why is it when Debo's not there, everything crashes? It doesn't make sense to me. You got elite talent still. You should be able to, and Debo is hurt every year. It's not like you don't have experience. It's not like you don't have experience coaching games without Debo. You coach games without Debo every single year. I don't know. It's just like, dude, you still got freaking studs on offense, whether he plays or not.
There's definitely no excuse for it. And Gary, definitely, this Lakers, we gotta talk some Lakers and Bucks here. Because this Bucks coaching decision, it's like you fire Budenholzer, then you get a coach in Adrian Griffin, then you trade Holiday, who's your best defensive guard, for a guy in Dame Lillard, who is a phenomenal player, but doesn't play defense. Then you're complaining that your defense is taking a hit, but your offense is improving. Your numbers are up better offensively versus last season, but your defense is worse versus it was last season. I mean, you look at the parallels; they're pretty telling. And we think that Doc Rivers, who has blown the most 3-1 leads in NBA history and living back on an NBA title from 2008, which was 16 years ago, a completely different type of NBA. I don't know, Gary. This one is just a little bit suspect for me, man. I'm just not liking it, and they just look anemic. They don't. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Thoughts, Gary?
You would think that we're talking about a team that's like 6 games under 500 and fighting for like the last playing spot, and not a team with the second best record in the East. Like, I think that's the part that just I'm like, you gave this man you gave Adrian Griffin essentially half of the season, and they said, no, he's not going. He will have between 55 and 60 wins, but then, what were we going to show for that? I think a lot of that stems from what happened at last season, where they lost to Miami in the first round. They really kind of got chumped in 5 games. It wasn't even a close series like that. I think there's a little bit of that, like, trepidation of, all right, we've gotten worse defensively a whole year later after losing, a key defensive player, losing a great coach in Mike Budenholzer, because let's be honest, like, he is a great coach. So you go to Doc Rivers, and Jeff, you said it best. He's 6-10 in Game 7s. He's lost his last 5. He's been eating off of a championship that was manufactured by David Stern and the National Basketball Association in 2007.
Bodkins, you're not going to like this, but he's the Rodgers of coaches.
That's cold.
One championship, the rest of the playoffs.
Besides that one championship and then the trip to the finals 2 years later, what exactly has Doc Rivers done to warrant the
I'll answer your question. He's never been to a conference finals since then.
Right.
Not even an NBA finals. Hasn't been to a conference finals since 2010. And
I'm willing to ignore Philly because, let's be clear, James Harden quit in Philly, and I think that's not his fault. But you had that Clippers franchise. You had them on the doorstep of being the team in LA, and you couldn't open the door. Like, there's a level of, like, what are we going to do here? You're going to get Doc Rivers. Maybe you get to the finals. I doubt it. I still think Boston's better. I still think Philly, if you give me a healthy Joel Embiid come playoff time, I think Philly's better than Milwaukee. Like, this is a team that will put up 140 points, but also give up 140. So really, you catch a good team, a hot team at the wrong time, and it's over. Like, you're going to find yourselves out of the playoffs before the finals again. So I don't know. I'm willing to sit back and watch, but history is dictated enough that I don't see where this is going to be a championship formula for Milwaukee.
Yeah, for me.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead,
sorry.
Go ahead.
For me personally, it's not the same thing, to be 100% clear. But the Cavaliers did this with David Blatt, like, I don't know, 2017, let's just say.
2016, right? It was 2016.
It's 2016, the year they won the title.
2016,
Yeah,
yes.
they won the
Yeah.
title.
So it was basically, as far as records-wise, it was the same exact thing. The Cavs were number 1 in the East. Right now, Milwaukee's number 2 in the East. And the Cavs and the Bucks, this is the similarity, and the similarities after this probably end, but the organization with Cleveland back then and the organization with Milwaukee right now decided, whether it's right or not, they made an educated guess. David Blatt, we're not going to win a championship. Adrian Griffin, we're not going to win a championship. We have championship rosters. We don't trust or believe the coach is going to win a championship. They're making an educated guess. That's all it is. We'll never know. But they've made that educated guess as an organization. We don't believe this guy can get us a championship, and we have a championship roster. So for me, do I feel a little bit bad for Griffin because he didn't really get a fair shake? Sure, a little bit. But I can also respect an organization deciding, listen, this is what we believe, and we got to do with what we believe. This is our gut instinct, and we know it's probably not going to look good, but this is how we feel, so this is what we're going to do. That's just where I'm at with it.
And Nick, like, what it comes down to, it's like, okay, Harbaugh, like, for instance, he left Michigan. He has upped the standard when it comes to what this organization and program is going to expect. After they won the championship in 2021, you have Giannis, who is in the prime of his career. He signed a 3-year extension. After 3 years, he can walk. He committed to that team. So his level of cachet and sway over the organization is very, very, very important. We have a player like that, Nick. I would assume that their expectation is to be in a championship form, and his leadership just didn't make it. I guess, Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, to add what Ben was saying, it wasn't even the Cavs ain't even the first team. If you remember back in the 80s, the Lakers did the same thing with a guy who won the championship. They fired Paul Westphal. The Lakers did because Magic said, "Get this guy out." Like, I can't.
And then Miami did it when they got rid of Van Gundy and Pat Riley came down and coached.
Yeah. So I mean, there is some precedent here, and kudos. So kudos to the Bucks too, right? Because like they're realizing they're reading the writing on the wall. Like, we're not going to win a championship with this guy on our coach. Now, part of the reason the defense is so bad is because you traded your best defensive player. You traded defense for offense. So you made that decision. The minute you decided to trade Drew Holiday for Dame Lillard, you traded offense for defense. So your defense was already going to take a hit. So you already should have known that a little bit. Now, I don't think they thought it was going to be this bad, but kudos to them. How many times do we sit here on any sport and be like, that coach has got to go? Like, why do they wait until, week 8, like, fire him now? And we can rip the Band-Aid off now instead of waiting until the offseason. So kudos for them, right? Like you were saying, Jeff, like, hey, we're not waiting any longer. Like, we realized the problem. Let's go ahead. We got Giannis, our window here. We're trying to win now. So we know this guy isn't the guy. Now, I didn't like that the Bucks like, well, we're looking for a championship coach. Well, you had one and you got rid of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you wanted Doc Rivers, well, Doc Rivers got fired this offseason too. So why didn't you go and get Doc Rivers right now? In the offseason, have a full year, the offseason and the full year to work with. So that's my problem with the firing of Griffin. It sounded like from everything I read is that he just didn't get along with the star players, Giannis and Dame. And if there's any league that's a players league, it's the NBA. You have to get along with the star players.
If Giannis and Dame don't go to leadership and say, we want this guy out, he's not out.
Yeah, or they don't have a problem.
They might have said fire him, but they made it known we have some issues here.
So there was a players, and he got the star players together. So it was like Giannis, Middleton, Dame, and I think maybe Brook Lopez. They got him, and they tried to air out everything, what was working, not working, and clearly that didn't work. So he tried to fix that, maybe mending that relationship, but management kind of saw and was like peeking in on practices as well, like moved from the booth, watching from the glass and peeking down at practice to like really watching practice and what was going on so they could get a better pulse. And that started about a month ago. And then they decided, hey, we're not going to be able to win a championship with this guy at the helm. And I'm not saying that they're going to win one with Doc Rivers, but they at least know that they saw a problem and they were to fix it right away. So instead of waiting for the offseason and wasting time.
Yeah, Doc Rivers is going to be Doc Rivers. This is his last shot as an NBA coach. I thought it was done after the 76ers, but I want to hit on the Lakers struggles here because I kind of want to throw a little bit of a thought out here, Ben. When the Bucks fired Adrian Griffin, I didn't entertain the notion of the Lakers looking at fire in hand for the Lakers. But after them firing Adrian Griffin, sometimes certain things just send shockwaves to the league and kind of makes you now thinking about like, gee, okay, let me look at what this team is. This team is not going to have the type of assets to be able to make the trades needed to alter their roster. I just hate to say it. Last year was a completely different situation. You look at the way things are now, even without LeBron James, this team fought, but there just isn't that juice that you're expecting from a team that's trying to contend. Would you entertain the notion of firing Ham for somebody else? Your thoughts on that, Ben, but just overall thoughts on the Lakers' struggles. I'm not saying they're going to fire Ham, but I'm just hopefully see where I'm going with this. For me,
it's like the Lakers last year proved just get them healthy in the playoffs. If they're healthy in the playoffs, I'm not saying they're going to win. There's a lot of talent, but they need to be healthy in the playoffs. And Gabe Vincent, like, I don't even think he's playing still. At this point, I don't even know if he's gonna play. Like, how long do you need to recover? Is there a worse injury than what they're saying? Because that was a big piece. That was a big free agent signing, and he basically hasn't played at all. So, like, that's hard when that's one of your that he played a very critical role for Miami last year. And he was going to play a pretty big role with the Lakers, and clearly he hasn't been there. I'm not saying he's a superstar. We know he's not. But he would have helped that team, or maybe he still can. So him not being there is huge to me. And I know Vanderbilt was out for a long time, but he's been playing now for like at least a month. But the Gabe Vincent injury to me is huge. That was one of your biggest signings in the offseason, and he hasn't played, basically. So for me, it's hard to judge the Lakers as far as, LeBron and AD, give them credit, have both played like 90% of the games pretty much. And then it's like, well, they're both going to get injured at some point. So if they're this with them, what are they when they ultimately miss 10, 15 games that they're going to? So it's like, I don't know, because you're not going to be a 500 team without him. And you're a 500 team right now. So I don't know. I think it's complicated is the best way that I can refer to it. I don't know.
Nick, let's get you in this one.
So I think the worst thing that happened to the Lakers last year is they overachieved. Mm-hmm. So they overachieved and they thought they could just run we'll add Gabe Vincent, we'll get the band back together and run this back. The problem is you overachieved. In the playoffs, they overachieved for sure, And LeBron's a year older. Anthony Davis is still playing at a high level, but I don't think he's ever going to be what we all thought he was going to be. I call him street clothes Davis. And you know what? The Lakers deserve this, folks. After hanging that banner, that stupid in-season tournament banner.
Yeah.
I mean, Kobe Bean Bryant is rolling
over in his grave.
The day they hung that banner, Kobe Bryant said, "We don't hang nothing but championship banners up in here in Staples Center. That's the only thing we hang up. Not now, not now, right? I mean, Dr. Jerry Buss, Kobe, they're all rolling in their graves because they hung up that banner. And that, my friends, is called karma. You get what you get. You thought you won some stupid piddly tournament that nobody cared about, and now you're dead last. And I hope they stay dead last until they take that down, that stupid banner that nobody cares about, and they get back to the old ways."
Gotcha. Yeah, facts. Gary. Maybe he's
no. I had to absorb all of that. I understand. So Nick, I'm a huge Lakers fan, so I had to take all that in real quick. No, but there is a level of there. You're right. There's a level of karma. We put this in-season tournament banner up, and and it's been jokingly said amongst the different talking heads in sports that might be the closest that LeBron comes to winning another championship. Like, yes, we realize that, and I think like us in Indiana have kind of gone in two divergent paths as far as how much they invested in the in-season tournament. Like, yes, Indiana stumbled a little bit out of the gate immediately following that, but they seem to start to right the ship. They've made trades to help right the ship, and they're going to be a player in the Eastern Conference. You cannot say the same about the Lakers, at least not right now. Now, granted, we had the same talks last year, and then they ended up in the Western Conference Finals. So, we have to be very careful and tread lightly as far as exactly how far we bury this Laker team, because they have the infrastructure, they have the GM that will make the right moves to help extend this run or window as long as they possibly can.
What?
And
I don't mean to cut you off there. I just want to ask you real quick, what moves can they make? I'm just curious, like, if because I read things all the time. I'm a quasi Bulls fan, so I know like they've been linked to Zach LaVine, but I don't think they can cap space and things like that.
That's not Zach LaVine's not the guy you should go after. I'm sorry. I personally think. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead, Gary.
No, I was going to say, if there's a player that would complement the Lakers as currently constituted, that I know he's not available, but he has to know he's not going to win where he's at. I would say, if I'm the Lakers, you figure out what it would take to get Trae Young in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I think him combined with LeBron and AD, that's going to be dangerous. That's going to be scary, and that's going to be enough offense where LeBron can take an even further step back, where he doesn't have to drop 25 to 30 a night and play 40 minutes. He can have somebody that has the confidence to drop 40 by himself. Like, he needs that. And they need, because AD is inconsistent. Reeves is nice, but he's only going to take but so many steps forward. You need another name. You need big talent. And like I said, with Trae Young, Atlanta's not going anywhere. And he knows that. And he can be the man in Atlanta, or he can win a championship elsewhere. I think he wants to win a championship elsewhere.
Yeah, and before we get to this debate thing here, when I look at the West compared to last season, boy, there's a lot of young athletic teams out there. Minnesota's number one right now. I think they're legitimate. I don't think they're going anywhere. And I don't think OKC's going anywhere. Those two teams were a non-factor last year, and they're very much a factor in the West. On top of Phoenix, who are now won 7 out of their last 10 games now and are in the 5th place. They're starting to get the surge.
For the Suns.
Right, 6 in a row, right? And then you still got Denver. Are they, even with any of the trades that they make, they are not going to overtake any of those teams. And I'm saying this as a fellow Lakers fan. I'm just calling it 100.
No,
They're
and you're
barely going to be a play-in team. That's just the reality.
But again, as I just said, we had this conversation last year. They made minimal moves. There wasn't a big name that they got, but they tweaked the roster enough to go on a run, and they ran into the eventual NBA champions. I'm not saying that they could do that again this year, but let's not sit there and say, like, in the West that anybody's a world beater, because right now the world beater in the NBA is playing in the Eastern Conference.
And Ben, we'll toss it to you real quick, then we'll get to the debate here. All I'm going to say is that last season they made an overhaul of their whole entire roster, where they literally turned over about 6 or 7 players. Mm-hmm. That was a huge haul. And I'm just not sure we're going to get the same thing. But I hope I'm wrong, Gary. I hope I'm wrong. I'm with you. Ben, I'll toss it over to you. Any final thoughts, and then I'll let you run away with this debate.
I want to let Nick in on a battle, so let's just get to it.
Go for it. I'm gonna let you lead that one.
You're up first. So you are
okay.
Battle number 1 is I'm going first.
I'm going to let you explain to the listeners what is the battle format, sir.
Okay, sir. So first off, Jeff is going to give a topic. Myself, Nick, and Gary will get 1 minute to debate, and then we will all get 15 seconds to have our closing argument. Then Jeff's going to declare a winner. The three of us do not know the topic. Jeff is going to share the topic, and we're going to battle it out, and then Jeff's going to declare a winner. And then we're going to keep it going.
All right. So the first topic I'm going to throw here literally just came to mind. Harbaugh's now the coach of the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
You are Harbaugh. You're coming in. You're looking at the state of the team. What is your dream scenario, like acquisition or trade or package? What is the first move that you make? You have all your draft picks. You have them all. You have all your trade chips. What is that first move that you make and why to help you win a Super Bowl the next season?
A quick question. They're all their current roster. Like they got a lot of free agents. So am I assuming they re-sign these guys or?
You can let's say it's
roll with it, Nick. Take it where you want to go. Take it where you want to go,
man. Yeah, let's just say, just to answer your question, all the free agents are gone, and they need to make their first. They need to make their first signing. What is the first thing that you do? All right. So Ben gets 1 minute, Nick, and then Gary. So what I'll do is I'll time it myself on my phone here, and then when I give you 10 seconds, wrap that shit up. All right. So Ben, you can go right now.
Excellent. So I'm going to say you got two receivers out there that are going to cost some money, and I know they're in some cap bad shape, but with all their free agents, they can get into a better situation. And most of the teams are smart enough to be like, oh, we're 70 million over the cap. Next week, we're 30 million under the cap. We'll just restructure this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. So my point is, you can find a way to get T. Higgins or Michael Pittman. And you pair that, you give Justin Herbert one of them boys, you got something there. And I think that I know their offense has kind of been a strong point, but you got Mike Williams coming off a torn ACL. Keenan Allen literally might not be there given his contract situation. So you might have to replace your number one wide receiver. So if we're going to say you have to replace your number one wide receiver, I'm saying you get Pittman or you get Higgins. My time's up.
All right, cool. All right, Nick, and you go, boss.
All right. The first thing you're doing if you're Jim Harbaugh is you're firing Kellen Moore and tell him to hit the streets because that offense was freaking abysmal last year. I mean, how does one guy go? How does he leave Dallas? Dallas gets better. She goes to the Chargers. Chargers get worse. So Kellen Moore, you're on the unemployment line. See you later. I'm bringing in my own guys. So that's the first thing he needs to do. Second thing he needs to do is go to Austin Eckler and say, look, guy, I still think you got a little bit of gas in the tank. Can you sign a 2-year deal, semi-team friendly, and we can go? Because we're going to get you back to doing what you did before. Not last year, because last year you were garbage. Ask anybody that played fantasy that drafted them. We all were. It was a bust. We're going to get you back to where you were, where all you did was score freaking touchdowns. Can you do that for us? How much left do you got in the tank, Austin? Because those are the first two things that need to go. Kellen Moore and re-sign Austin Eckler. They're in cap hell, so they got to figure that out, do some cap gymnastics. But get Austin Eckler signed and fire Kellen Moore. There you go.
You okay? I like the energy. I like the energy. Nick, you're coming back on at some point anyway. I like the energy.
Hey, that's what I do, man.
Nice. All right, Gary, and go.
All right, so real quick, I think, Nick made a great point. Austin Eckler has to be that deal has to be restructured, or they need to draft somebody. I think it needs to be restructured, and they need to draft somebody for the future because, I think Eckler's effectiveness is starting to wane. I think you mentioned Mike Williams being out going to next season. I'm going to add another Mike to that roster. Now, you say cap held, but, they can figure it out. I would go get Mike Williams from Tampa Bay.
Evans. You mean Evans?
Mike, excuse me, thank you. Mike Evans from Tampa Bay. Yes, thank you. I'd go get him. I think he's enough of a weapon, and he's shown he's consistent. There's not been a season in his career where he has not caught for 1,000 yards or any less than 1,000 yards. So, you find yourselves that's somebody that you can certainly build off of, and that would be a huge asset for your offense.
All right, cool. All right, we're going to do each individual gets 15 seconds, and Ben, you will go now.
So I'm going to just stick with my Higgins and Pittman point. They make great points, but I'm going to say Higgins or Pittman, and I would prefer Pittman. But, yeah, you get Eckler. You get Herbert a 1.
Let me throw you a question real quick, just because I can. Would you sign both if you could?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, if you can, but they can't. That team can't. A team like the Patriots, even though they won't do it, they could because they have like the third most cap space. So a team like that who needs weapons, by the way, that wouldn't be a bad idea to splurge on those too. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Patriots could honestly, the Patriots could really turn things around really quickly if they just get a good quarterback and add some receivers with that defense. I'm just saying, anything can happen. All right, Nick, your rebuttal, your closing argument, sir, and go.
Yeah, my closing arguments is that they can wish all they want. At least mine's more realistic. They ain't getting Pittman and they ain't getting Higgins. You think the Colts are going to let Michael Pittman walk out that door? No, he's the only offensive weapon they got. Mike Evans is going to, if he's going to go to a team, he's going to go to, if he's going to leave Tampa Bay, which he shouldn't because he seems to be fit there. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame there. But Mike Evans is going to go to a team that's on the cusp of winning a Super Bowl. The Chargers aren't on the cusp of winning the Super Bowl because they still got to go through, I don't know, the guy that we've been talking about all night, Patty Mahomes. So why is he going to be like, oh, I'm going to go in the same division with Patty Mahomes? Absolutely freaking out. I'm going to go on a team that's on the cusp of winning the division, winning the Super Bowl.
Okay. Nice.
We were nice to you, Buckins. You're a gift. We gave you about 40 seconds instead of 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's all good.
Hey, sorry, man. I'm long-winded. I can't help it.
Right.
No, you good, man. You good. It's all love, man. It's all love.
Gary, go.
So we've talked about, as mentioned, Mike Evans. I've mentioned, listen, if you don't go get Mike Evans, go get Chris Godwin. But you have to give him somebody. You have to give Justin Herbert somebody else because that offense, as constituted, like we said about Buffalo, they're good, but they're not great, and you need a game changer.
I like all of it, but Nick, my man, I'm gonna have to give it to you. Just because I like the energy, and I think it is more realistic.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's what happens, baby.
Man, I think T. Higgins would be great. Gail, you got championship belt now. Look at that. You ain't the only one now with belt. All right, yeah. Congratulations, Nick. We'll send you a card in the mail.
I appreciate it. I look for it.
But Nick, we know you got a rap. You want to give yourself 15 seconds to say what you're doing, promote your stuff, have at it.
Yeah, I appreciate it again, boys. I appreciate you letting me come on here and talk with you guys. I enjoyed it as always. Please check me out. I'm on the Bodkin Show right here. I talk all things sports, really, just like you guys do. I'm about to actually get off of here in about 5 minutes, and we're going to do our UFC show, Head Kicks and Haymakers. So we'll be talking UFC 297 that just happened last Saturday. So we'll be breaking all that down. You can also catch me on the Let's Talk Sports Network, where I host the Let's Talk Sports show. All the guys over there as well. So please check us out. We'll be live tomorrow night on the Let's Talk Sports Network. We'll be previewing the playoff games and everything else. So we appreciate it. Hit the like, subscribe, and share. Be a friend. Tell a friend, folks. We'll see you then. And we appreciate you guys. Let me chop it up with you. And Ben, just hit me up on any time, man. It was fun.
Awesome. No doubt. Glad to have you on, sir.
Thank you, Nick.
Definitely. We got to bring you back.
Hey, guys. It's nice meeting you. I'll see you all later.
Take care. You as well. Take care. All right. Ben, to your topic, I guess it'd be me versus Gary. No more colluding. And then we got to do Ben Gets Loud, and then we'll keep this thing going. No collusion.
Yeah,
no collusion.
We got to let Jeff debate on this one because we he gave that topic. So you know what? I was gonna change it, but screw it. I'm gonna keep the same. It is a very similar topic, but slightly different. So the question is, will Jim Harbaugh win a Super Bowl with the Chargers in the next 5 years? And we will.
Who goes first? Who goes?
What did I have it as? Let's go Gary first. Gary first. I got you. You can go whenever you want. I got you. You got 1 minute. Go.
Will Jim Harbaugh win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years? Absolutely, he'll win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. This man has done everything and has won everything on every level except for the Super Bowl. He got there, and he got there with Colin Kaepernick as his quarterback. And I'm not bringing up the politics or anything like that. I'm just pointing out that if Colin Kaepernick was a good to great quarterback, he would have had a job by now. Just throwing that out there. But be that as it may, before anybody goes, oh, why? Brian Flores. But anyway, the point is, he's all right. Is he going to? Is Jim Harbaugh going to win a championship? Yes. I think there's enough where Kansas City's going to take that step back. I'm sorry, Jeff. Denver's not going to go much further than where they're currently at, and Las Vegas is the same story. So I think as long as they can take that step forward and kind of be the team to go up against Kansas City year in year out, eventually the ball's going to roll their way.
All righty, Jeff. 5 seconds. Go. And go.
He's going to get very close, but I do not see him winning a Super Bowl. It's not due to lack of effort or lack of trying. He deserves all the cachet, all the respect that he does. But when I look at the landscape of the NFL currently, when I look at all these young quarterbacks coming in, I look at the Houston Texans who are going to continue to get better. I look at the AFC, just across the board in general. I just feel there's going to be just way too much competition for him. And as long as Pat Mahomes is still Pat Mahomes, there's always going to be a chance that he's going to continue to perform. This team is still in the AFC Championship for the 6th year in a row, despite having one of the worst offenses and still finding ways to win. Pat Mahomes is a guy that is always going to find ways to execute in the critical moments, hence why it is him above everybody else. Justin Herbert is a great, fantastic quarterback, going to give you 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, maybe 10 interceptions. He might take you to an AFC Championship game, but at the end of the day, even back in college, he still couldn't get it done in the critical moment. So, no, I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. Get very close.
All right, beautiful. Gary, you can go. I'll give you 10 seconds to make my life easier. So it'll be 8:59 exactly when you wrap. So go now.
Okay. So I like the argument about Pat Mahomes and being everybody, there's still being a chance each, year in, year out with him. But you got to look beyond Pat Mahomes. How much longer is Andy Reid going to be there? Because he's, getting up there in age. He's got his championships. He has his legacy. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He's one of the 10 greatest coaches ever. Let's lay that all out there. Eventually, he's going to go. And then is that offense, is that team going to still be the same? That's where Jim Harbaugh and that offense and that creative mind of his has to jump in and has to take advantage, because eventually Kansas City is going to eventually revert back to the average, because that's how sports work.
All right, that's it. You got 40 seconds. No, I'm not being. No, you good. Yeah, I'm just busting. But Jeff, go.
Outside of Pat Mahomes, there's Lamar Jackson. Outside of Pat Mahomes, there is a slew of other young and up-and-coming quarterbacks that are going to continue to bring on the tradition of some of the great quarterbacks. It is outside of Pat Mahomes, the landscape of the NFL and the level of competition that is going to continue to increase is going to make it very, very hard for the Chargers to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years, especially with their cap situation. They have to build a team from the inside out, and that's going to take a couple drafts. So I'm done.
All right, here we go. I've got the winner as Jeff, and the reason is very simple. I just agree. I just don't think they're going to win. I just don't think they're going to win in the next 5 years. So how could I – Gary, you did a great job, but if I agree with the other side, I kind of got to go that way.
Let's be very clear. That Chargers franchise is cursed. So whether I said they were going to win or not, they won. But, I'm going to make an argument one side or the other, and I know as long as Pat Mahomes is upright and healthy, it's his division to lose. So there's that side of the argument as well.
Yeah, for sure. I love these battles, though. These are fun.
No doubt.
I like these.
All right. But all right, Ben, get loud, sir.
Yeah, so I already said it, and I'm just going to say it again. Kyle Shanahan, if you have Debo or you don't have Debo, you got to win this game. There is no excuse. if Debo plays and then gets hurt at halftime, doesn't play, whatever the case may be, you have Brandon Ayuk, who made All-Pro. You have George Kittle, who made the Pro Bowl. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's going to win Offensive Player of the Year. And you got a top 5 offensive line. With or without Debo, you need to win that game. And your defense is better than the Lions' defense. So your offense is better. Your defense is better. Your team is better. So you need to win that game. I don't care if Debo doesn't play, if he plays half the game, or if he plays the entire game. 49ers, now is the time. You got to get it done. Because they might not be able, as great as he is, they might not be able to re-sign Chase Young, even though they traded for him. So obviously they will try to re-sign him. But and their front office is great with being creative with the cap and all this. But you can't keep everyone. You just can't. And this is their last run with this roster. And if you have the better team, really in all aspects, better offense, better defense, special teams, probably a wash, like you got to win that game. Debo or no Debo, Kyle Shanahan, no excuse. You got to win this game.
Facts. Man, I wonder what we're going to be saying a week from today. What we're going to be talking about, guys, because the world of sports each week, I feel like Wednesday.
We're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl. I'm calling it now.
I was about to go there as well. I was about to go there. And if he does do it, Mahomes literally will have done the same exact thing 2 years in a row, but not counting the Super Bowl. He beat a better roster last year, beat the Bengals, who had a better roster. This year, the Bills have a better roster, beat them. And now the Ravens clearly have a better roster than the Chiefs. So he is the difference. This is what we're saying. He doesn't have the best team. And he's still winning. Like, that's why he's here. And there's everybody else.
Seriously.
I mean, facts. I mean, man, I don't know. Do you realize just one thing? Do you realize how all the great news has been happening just before our show on Wednesdays, now before Tuesdays? I just noticed since we've done this on Wednesday, it's like, damn, we got all the good news. I don't know what it is about the news cycle.
Wednesday, hey, man, it's like middle of the week. Let's just get it all out at once. It's the
quietest day of the week as far as news usually goes. So here, we're going to start dropping some gems in the middle of it.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, another special announcement. We will be approaching our 2-year anniversary on February 7th. It has been 2 years of Death, Taxes, and Sports. By that time, that'll be episode 119. So 119 episodes later, 2 years, and well over 700 days, we have brought nothing but good, great content. It has been one heck of a ride. It just feels just last year we were celebrating our 1 year, and here we are. 2 years of Death, Taxes, and Sports. We're planning it. We're going to have a very special episode.
We got to get some OGs. I'll try and get Dave Behrman, and we'll try and get LP.
Yes, LP. And we got to get Gina back. We got to bring Gina. We got to bring back the day ones, man. It's going back.
Don't worry. I'll reach out. I'll make it happen.
Now let's make it happen. All right, guys.
Everybody, good night. Great episode.
Love. Good night. Take care. Bye.
Good night.